He's muted.
It happens. Usually once an episode.
I could read lips right there.
I can
Now, you couldn't read the J part of fudge. You couldn't read that, I promise. Sorry, I have a little typo here. You can also share your feedback. Oh man, I hate that word.
Oh, geez.
Just keep the crayons away, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stand by. Your inbox is going to get flooded.
Send your hate mail to Grant.
That's right. That's right. That's what editing is for, right? Welcome in, everybody, to the Plastic Posse Podcast. This is episode 77. I am Scott Gentry. I'm joined today by Grant Mayberry in California. Grant, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
On the East Coast, I have TJ Haller with us. What's going on?
Good morning, or just barely good afternoon.
We have from right here in Utah with me, Doug Smith, who just showed one of his snakes to Grant, which he greatly appreciated. How you doing, Doug?
I'm great. How is everybody else today? Grant's doing wonderful. I know that.
I don't like you.
My favorite was the big shiver he had after you.
Well, it's amazing how someone can hide behind their microphone from something that's 800 miles away.
You got to be good. You got to be good to do that.
We are also joined by a very special guest from the ModelGeeks Podcast, Mr. Darren Cook. D-Ran, how are you doing this morning?
ModelGeeks, who are those guys? Doing good here. I'm glad to be here. It's I'm like TJ. I'm trying to figure out if it's morning or afternoon or what day it is or which recording. By that fact, it's been a busy weekend so far.
Well, that happens when you don't get any sleep, Darren.
Yeah, I know, right? How do I know that? How do you know that?
Also joining us, El Presidente. Tim, how are you doing this morning?
Good day, everyone. I'm doing great, even though I only had roughly 5.5 hours of sleep last night. Hey, I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed today.
Well, that's good to hear. Well, we are recording a little bit early. I mean, it'll drop at the same time, but we wanted to get together before a bunch of us head off to some shows and events. And also, we are here today to talk about the inaugural Paxcon show, Darren and Tim, and later on, hopefully we will also be joined by Scott Samo. Nemo, hopefully will join us as well. So that's really, really cool. Let's kind of go around the room and just kind of talk about what everybody's been up to. Tim, let's start with you. What have you been doing? What's been on your bench lately?
Well, a couple of things. I been working on a number of P-51 Mustangs, 72nd scale. It's the old monogram kit. When Armba Hobby came out with theirs, I decided that initially I was just going to junk them and realized that, no, there's this thing called Mustangs and Messerschmitts, a role-playing game that uses 72nd scale fighters. So Victor DeSanto and I decided to figure out how to make that game work. And I finished my second out of 8 Mustangs. When I say finished, it's at the ready for stickers stage. So it's got its olive drab on it, neutral gray, the white stripes, red nose, and now I just need to put some stickers from the 4th Fighter Group on it, and it'll be ready for some gameplay. And then the other thing I've been working on is using my 3D printer to come up with a standard base for it. The basic game rules recommend using 3/4 ply and a jigsaw as well as a power drill to make it. And unfortunately, there's a whole lot of variability in that. So to the point where Victor and I were finding that even making 2 bases each, the 2 were so different that they didn't seem to work right. And a lot of the gameplay is tied into the performance of that base and how well it works in terms of a turning radius and movement forward and aft. Well, technically never aft because you can't fly backwards, but at least not with a fixed wing aircraft. Anyway, the point is that I was able to finally get a print done, and yesterday Victor and I did a 1v1, and I proceeded to kick his butt with my Mach-E 202, and he was flying a Mustang, and I just it does have a tighter turning radius, and I just kind of did circles inside of him and just kept getting shots on him, and until such time as he realized he needed to outclimb me and outrun me, because that's what he could do. And once he did that, I lost sight and said, okay, I'm breaking off. I'm headed home.
Mustangs and Messerschmitts. Doug, is that the game is that the game where you have the stand and it has an elevated, graduated stick, and so you know you're in a garage, or
there it is.
Yeah, Doug and I used to play that game years ago. A friend of ours who was a pilot.
There's the stand.
Yeah. That's actually a really fun game, because it for the pilots out there, you really got to kind of know your stuff, and like you were saying, using the advantages of a Mach-E over a Mustang takes good knowledge of the game and the aircraft being used.
Yeah, and we were, like I said, we had a lot of fun with it, and it was I think we spent, I don't know, Darren, you were there for a lot of it, 3.5 hours of figuring out maneuvering and that kind of thing. And ultimately, when we're done, we added up each turn counted for 5 seconds of combat time. And when we added it all up, it turned out to only be 1 minute and 20 seconds of combat time. But it took us 3+ hours to actually maneuver the aircraft around and figure out shots and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, we talked about it in Texas a little bit, Tim and I. I told him that we'd played it in the past, and I guess they're trying to streamline it, make it play better, make the rules make more sense, and every aircraft perform closer to what they think is correct. So that should be a lot of fun when you're done.
Yeah, we've taken the rules and realized that the basic rules are really an advanced level. And so what we've done is backed off and kind of designed some back of the napkin so far, basic and intermediate level. And yesterday we flew at and played at a basic level just to figure out, do the stands work well? Can we maneuver the aircraft? Can we think about maneuvering an aircraft in 3 dimensions? It was a lot of fun. And yeah, you're right. It once we get to the basics figured out well, we're hoping to get guys like Darren and Frill and anybody else to push around one of these things with an aircraft on a stick.
DJ, I don't know if you've ever played that game or anything like it, but if you haven't, you ought to give it a try. It's actually a lot of fun.
I have not. I played a number of games, but I have not played that.
Man, good memory. Shout out to Russ Voorhees, our friend that kind of got us into that, and love the back of the napkin reference. When you say back of the napkin, all I hear is Stonehenge from Spinal Tap. Mm-hmm. TJ, what's been on your bench? What have you been up to?
Well, let's see. I've been 3D printing a lot of stuff for our buddy Aaron. So my 3D printer's been running pretty much every time I've been down here for the last couple of days. He had a number of files that he asked me to print for him, so I did, and I got them all printed up today. I got to cure the last bit of them. I've printed some stuff for myself on the side, so I'm gonna throw that stuff on the cure in the cure station too. Other than that, I was working on the Falca, the Machine Krieger flying thing that's made out of a P-38 Mustang and a car. I kind of set that aside because I wasn't really sure where I was going to go with it. There's some adjustments I'm going to make to the camo scheme, which is I based it off of the very first Machine Krieger kit I did, which was just a regular SAFS fighting suit. In the classic, they call it Eggplant 6 scheme. It's like tan and gray. So that was fun. I like that kit. The Falca is a pretty cool kit. Not too difficult. There's some seams down the middle that you have to deal with. I missed one on the back, or I got a ghost seam, so I might just leave it because I don't really care. You can't see it. It's never going to be in a competition. It'll probably be on. Might take it next year and put it on display, but probably won't ever enter it in anything. And other than that, I've been working on. So when I needed to like take a breather from that and let it marinate, I got out a kit that I started, which is another Machine Krieger kit. It's an SAFS A8R8, which is like the up armored version of the mercenary suit. If you know your World War II history and your German aircraft, you know an A8R8 is the designation for an up armored 190, I believe.
Yep.
That's where they get that name from, which is cool. And I built that. I got it all painted up. I need to start weathering it. And then I built 2 other SAFS suits because I have a lot of those. I have pretty much all of the different versions. And my goal is to have all of at least one of each one built up. There's a lot. So I have from the AFS, which is like the prototypes, to the SAFS, to the most advanced SAFS, which I just built, which is called the Raptor. A lot of that probably sounds like Greek to people if you don't know what Maschinen Krieger is or you don't follow it, but essentially they're the mercenary fighting suits. So they're one of the 2 factions in Maschinen Krieger, the other one being the Strahl, the SDR. So I like the Strahl suits better, but these SAF suits are so easy. The Wave, they're made by Wave. They're so easy to build. I literally built the Raptor yesterday afternoon. I got home from work a little bit early because it was holiday weekend. I worked out and then I built a kit from start to finish. I did the same thing the other day with the Fireball, which is one of the newer ones. But yeah, that's what I've been working on. When we're done with this, I'll probably start weathering the A8R8 because it's almost done. And then I'll get to working on one of these other ones that I've got built. So I got to do some sculpting work and add some details and stuff like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been busy, but not really, I would say productive, but I haven't finished anything in a while. So
really like the camo on that. I think on the A8R8, is that right? But the camouflage on that suit looks really, really good. Like some of your paint schemes you have planned as well.
Yeah, I was really happy with the A8R8. I used IGN Amber Gray. I darkened it a little bit. It's a great color. I mean, anyone that's built Japanese World War II aircraft is familiar with it. It's a really interesting color. It's hard to describe really where it fits in the gray tan spectrum because it's both. It's weird. I really like it, and I darkened it a little bit because I wanted. I did a AM12, which is dark gray. It's like Russian dark gray. That's the disruptive camo. So I didn't want it to be too, because the amber gray is relatively bright, so I didn't want it to be too stark. So I just darkened the amber gray and just used the AMT12 straight. And it also served a good base for chipping because I can go back and use normal amber gray as the chipping color to do superficial chips on the darkened amber gray and on the dark gray. And it looks really good. I'm very, very happy with it. I was really proud of the camo scheme too. I freehand all that camo. I hate masking so much. So I just freehand it all. And it's a nice little cloudy pattern. I was happy with it. It's always like a roll of the dice where I'm like, is my airbrush clean enough? Because I'm like, I don't really feel like taking it apart right now because I'd rather just paint. I don't really spend 20 minutes taking apart an airbrush. So I didn't. And luckily it was clean enough and I got like no sputtering or anything.
Well, it looks really good. The color palette's fantastic. I really like it. Probably one of my favorites of the suits that you've done so far.
Thank you.
Darren, what have you been up to? What's on your bench?
On the bench is a lot of unfinished projects, to be honest. I broke out my Ming F4E, and y'all can't see it over my shoulder here. It's on the table, getting it ready to paint. So I'm doing a lot of the tedious pre-shading, et cetera on that. And unfortunately, that's about it because of work. Work has really consumed most of my time here of late. I'm trying to get ready for an out-of-country trip again starting next week. So I'll be in the land of Oz, I guess, when this drops for another couple of weeks. Trying to prepare for that and get everything I need to do work-wise prepared is eating my time. And of course, our pod, the Model Geeks Podcast, trying to get that recorded and the editing's done, and et cetera. You know how it goes. That can be a time suck. So work and all that's just kind of taken away. But I can't wait to get back from Australia. When I get back, I can get hard and heavy on stuff on the bench here. Like I said, the F4. I want to finish the 860 up. I've kind of put that on the shelf. After I finished the rotor head on that, which was a kit within itself, it just kind of, I like the way TJ says, had to let it sit and marinate for a little bit. We kind of briefly discussed that in, our latest episode, and that is breaking it into small sections like that and treating it like just individual little kits. It breaks up the monotony and it kind of helps ease the burnout, if you will. So anyway, I'm not going to ramble. That's what I'm working on when I have the chance.
Kind of eat the elephant in small bites, right?
That's right.
Approach. Yeah.
Yep.
Doug, what's your bench been looking like? What have you been up to?
I have almost completely been focusing on Charvin's Facade, the AK all-in-one kit. Now it's official. We are in the group build phase of our facades. So mine was probably half done when it kicked off, but I've been chipping away at that. It's all new to me. I've never done anything quite like it. I've never weathered like this. I've never tried to paint anything quite like this. So it's been an adventure. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying it. The other thing I've been doing is like TJ, I've been printing a lot. I'm almost out of resin, and that's good. I'm going to take a break here and make a little trip to go to the Magic Kingdom with my granddaughters. Sorry, the Magic Kingdom, I guess, is Florida, isn't it? We're going to Disneyland in a couple weeks, and that'll be fun. But the 3D printer has been knocking out a bunch of stuff. I made a trade with Rob Booth, and I traded some stuff. He wanted a bust, so I sent him a bunch. And he sent me a 1/72nd scale arrow out of the Dornier 335 and by DML. One of these days, get to that. It's going to be fun. Yeah, that's all I've been doing is this little thing.
Nice. It sounds like you've been busy. Grant, what have you been up to in the wake of the tropical storm and things being a little bit back to normal, so to speak?
I've got back to working a little bit more. Our great storm is over, but it was raining this morning when I woke up. So, weird summer for Southern California. I've been working on a figure, posted a little bit about it, another dwarf, because I love dwarfs. So got the face and the beard painted on it. That was 3D printed like TJ and Doug. I have been using the 3D printer a lot. So I'm trying to get some stuff ready for Chicago, where me and Scott will be in October. So I want to make a good showing there. I also just about ready to start my facade, which we'll talk about later. Found some cool little things that I found out I'll pass along here in a few minutes. Other than that, I did get a box in the mail yesterday, and I finally got my M29 Weasel.
Nice.
So I'm really happy about that. That's going to get started here real soon. It's a kit I've been waiting for a long time. I really like the Weasel. I think it's a really kind of a cool little vehicle. Use of it was massive. They were in World War II, of course, several bush wars. The French used them in Indochina in the 50s, early 60s. So, it's just a really cool little vehicle. So I can't wait to get that started. But other than that, I've got a show coming up. I'm going to be in Oxnard, California on September 9th. I'll have a table there. So if you're in the area at the show, please stop by and say hello. I've got some stickers and a whole bunch of other stuff for some guys, you guys. And so that's about it.
All right. Well, it's only been a week, but basically still working on buddy build with my buddy Josh. I know TJ will recognize this, but this is one of those DOS work howitzer kits, 1/35th scale. It's kind of we work on them together, not when we're separate. So it's going a little bit slow, but it's a really nice kit, really, really detailed. Lots of putty here and there, but which is fine. Nothing wrong with the kit. It's just sort of the nature of the beast, but a lot of photo etch in it. Just a really beautiful little model. This little M1918 howitzer. So that's kind of what I've been working on. And, here in Utah, I think this morning, fall might have pulled back the curtain and made an appearance. It was like 65 degrees this morning. Really, really beautiful here in Utah. So that was nice.
The Triple P is sponsored by Tankcraft, makers of highly realistic aftermarket 3D printed tank tracks in 1/35th scale. Tankcraft Pro Tracks, as real as it gets. These are not just copies of previously produced model kit parts. These designs are based on real 1-to-1 scale tank track links that Tankcraft has measured and photographed. These designs are then downsized to 1/35th scale, printed and test fitted on all the major 1/35th scale armor kits. Having used these tracks, we can honestly say that these are high quality, super detailed, easy to assemble, with fine layer lines that are practically invisible to the naked eye. Cleanup is minimal and usually not even needed. So go on over to tankcraft.com right now, that's TANKRAFT.com, and get yourself a set of Pro Tracks. While you're there, check out their other cool scale modeling stuff. Your bench will thank you. As a reminder, Posse fans can take 15% off their first order using the code POSSE15 at checkout. That's POSSE 15.
Well, appreciate everybody kind of letting us know what they've been working on. Let's kind of roll into our first topic. First of all, want to mention Jensen had a family commitment, and Mr. Bonani is wandering around the Minnesota State Fair eating fried foods, apparently. So they were not able to join us today. Anyway, first discussion topic. I've been looking at a lot of builds online and kind of being blown away by a lot of them. And, we have a lot of talented friends, and a lot of you out there are posting your builds to the Posse group. TJ's suit that we kind of briefly mentioned was one of the things that I've kind of been thinking about this week. And so my question to the group here is, what is it about a model that makes it inspiring to you? What is that? I call it the it factor, right? So what is that it factor that grabs you when you see it for the first time? And, it doesn't matter if it's a vignette or a diorama or an aircraft or, whatever it is, but what is it that when you see a model that someone's done that really just kind of leaves an impression? What is that it factor for you? And I think I'm gonna start on this with Grant, and then maybe make our way around the room. So Grant, what is that it factor that grabs you when you see a model that inspires you?
It's a good question, and I like the question a lot. But I think the one thing I like about it is I'm a huge fantasy fan. So I like to be able to tie it to something in the fantasy. Either it's Warhammer that I can tie to a book that I've read about Warhammer, or I'm a huge Tolkien fan, so I love dwarves and hobbits and all that kind of stuff. So I like to tie it those builds to the it factor is that I can tie it to the book or tie it to the movie or tie it to whatever. So that's what really grabs me. And for 1/35th scale and other models, I really like when something's odd and different. The weasel's a perfect example. I've never been around a weasel. I've never seen a weasel in real life, but the look of it just draws me. And it's just the difference of, it's not a Jeep, it's not a Sherman, it's not a Tiger, it's not a Panther, and I think that is what really draws me into a project, is the difference of it. The Germans were really good at, throwing artillery or throwing big guns on small vehicles. So that's interesting to me, and I find that very interesting. And something that's got a backstory. There's the Elephant Brigade, the 653, I think it was, they had some very unusual recovery vehicles. They had a Panther with a Panzer IV turret on it, which was a stationary turret that they put on. That's very interesting to me. They used the original the Ferdinand Porsche, when they designed the Elephant. Ferdinand Porsche, they put a Tiger turret on top of a modified chassis, which is really interesting to me. That stuff like that is really interesting for me. Cold War era stuff is the same way. There's some wacky, weird stuff out there that was produced by the US, the British, that just is bizarre. But that, that's the it factor for me. That draws me in. There's the uniqueness of it. It's not your regular stuff. But that's what, I find it extremely interesting, is that kind of build and design factors that, that grab me. It's just not the normal day stuff, but, it's just the oddness of it.
Yeah, the uniqueness of the subject. That's really, really interesting. I was thinking about we've talked a little bit about TJ's suit, and also Nemo's float plane that he brought to nationals. And so what inspires me is, looking at that in TJ's suit is, when you see a model, I guess what I'm going to talk about here is finish. But when you see a model where you've got usually multiple colors in a palette, and everything is kind of subtle, like there's, from one color to another, the transitions of one color to another are such that it really kind of, for me, catches my eye, and sort of like, you've captured something in 1-to-1 scale in a very, very miniature way. And it looks really natural to the eye. To me, that it factor that really inspires me is sort of that subtlety of bringing all these elements, the way TJ used, or the way that TJ and JB use speckling on their model, on their armor models, these little touches that really kind of to blend and tie all of the elements of a model together. For me, when I see that done well, that's really what the it factor is for me.
Yeah, that's another thing is, when you and Doug are good at this with sci-fi models, and especially the Bandai kits, you guys can bring those subtle tones and colors in. And it almost reminds me of, late war or mid-war German aircraft camouflage, which is such a subtle, there's so many shades and so many designs, and the subtleness of it just ties it all together. And I think you guys do the same thing with, you look at a Y-wing, all the piping and everything that has to be done, and the subtleness of when people paint that correctly, it's beautiful.
Tim, I'm going to go to you next. What's the it factor for you? Like, what catches your eye and really inspires you when you see a model?
It's a combination of two things. One is historical significance in the universe that the subject is in. And the other one is how realistic does the scheme look? So if it's as an example, if it's what is it called? A Razor Crest, it's got to look like it's a spacecraft that's been through a little bit, been rebuilt a couple of times, and has seen some things. And it has historical significance in the Mandalorian Star Wars universe, and something like that, if done well, really inspires me. And of course, the vast majority of the models I have around here are our own universe models. And so it's some sort of historical significance. And the closer it ties to naval aviation in some way, shape, or form, the more impressed I am with it and start to look at it a little bit closer.
That's awesome. Doug, what about for you? What's the it factor when you see a model that kind of, blows you away a little bit?
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, other than the fact that the first thing I look for is Star Wars. Is it Star Wars? I'm already happy. Finish is an important thing to me. I like to see like well executed paint that is. I love good weathering. I mean I look for just what I've already said. I look for a good smooth finish, something that makes me think, man, I'd like to do that. Or especially if it's something that might be a little challenge, because I think I'm pretty good with an airbrush, but I've seen some guys work that was unbelievable, especially on aircraft, because aircraft is one of those subjects that, man, if you put it on, if your paint goes on rough, it ruins it. You can kind of get away with that on armor, but you just can't on aircraft. And so a nice smooth finish is something that really jumps out at me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, we talk a little bit here about Star Wars, sort of the modeling an X-Wing as if it existed versus modeling an X-Wing as a studio prop. And,
are you saying X-Wings aren't real, Scott?
I didn't say that.
Well, they're real to me. So yeah, that's how I look at it, especially Star Wars. I mean, because Star Wars, it was real to me when I was a kid. Yeah. I mean, I watched all the things on how they made it and how they built the models and how they filmed them. And it didn't matter to me because that was reality, my reality,
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit with Link and how much Star Wars and Aliens and some of the science fiction at the time inspired Machine and Krieger, and the looks of those models and the way that when we saw Star Wars, everything had burn marks on it and rust on it and everything. Aside from the realism element, I mean, what about studio props? Are those models that inspire you, or are you kind of more just over on all the time on the other side of that fence?
Studio props, tell me what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean.
Like making models to look like the original ILM studio prop models.
Building to that effect, I love seeing an X-Wing or Millennium Falcon or blockade runners that look like they came out of the movie, like direct copies. But I have nothing against people being creative and coming up with their own paint schemes. I think that's fun in and of itself. I especially like it when you can do it and make it believable to the galaxy they come from. Like look at an example of the ATST that was in Mandalorian. It was cool and it was believable. You could believe that some faction had gotten a hold of that piece of equipment and made it their own and painted it their own way and painted it to be intimidating and used it for their purposes. I like that stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool too. I like how you kind of brought the non-canon part of that in there, because I think some non-canon modeling is particularly inspiring in a lot of cases for me. TJ, I know you have some opinions on that. What about for you? What's that it factor when you see a model that really inspires you?
So the it factor. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and quote Justice Potter Stewart and say, I know it when I see it. I can't necessarily put like into words or into writing. If this model has this is what I think, it is. It could be any number of things. I guess if you're talking maybe like figures, I gravitate towards the more, I hate to say it, European style. It's a little more gritty. It's a little more realistic, for lack of a better term. It's not. It's heavily exaggerated too, because that's the nature of figure painting. But that compared to the more American style of ultra smooth transitions and all that kind of stuff that you see a lot of. And I'm not saying that a figure like that wouldn't necessarily pop to me. It certainly has. Eric Swinson paints like that, and his figures are amazing. They, you would recognize an Eric Swinson model or figure immediately, just by the style. But when it comes to more traditional subjects, I don't know. It could be any number of things that'll make it stand out to me, and it's not always the same. Just because one model may have that particular thing. I'm a fan of a little punchiness, but not too much punchiness. I feel like you have to strike a good balance between making things too punchy, because then you get to the cartoonish look. There's not anything I can really just say, yes, if a model has this, that's it. That's what makes this model work, right? Like, it could just be any number of things. I wish I knew what that was, because then I would do it all the time, but I don't, so I can't. I don't even know if I ever have. Yeah, that's a tough question, because I gravitate towards certain things in the genre, right? Like there's a certain way I like my aircraft to look, right? I want weathered, but I don't want so weathered it looks like, it's about to fall apart, and now I'm more like that with my armor too. I have been gravitating more towards a little bit of a cleaner build when it comes to armor. I've noticed my last few armor pieces aren't just covered in mud or whatever, mainly because that's stuff's a pain in the ass to do, and I'd rather just paint it and move on. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what I saw maybe at NASA. It just like really, really, really stood out to me. Yeah, I'm coming up blank, honestly. There was so many damn models. It was it's hard to remember them all.
Hey TJ, I remember we talked about that face that was in the figure section, that large face, the woman's face, and you rotated around. There was the bowl on the back, the water, and the fish was in the water, and how unique that was. So maybe that's something like that.
So I'm gonna go ahead and be controversial. I didn't particularly care for that piece.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't bad. I'm not saying like it was bad. It's just that kind of stuff doesn't speak to me as a figure painter. It was very well done. It was very interesting, but it was cool. Again, I'm not taking anything away from the artist. It was fantastic work. It was interesting. Yeah. But if I were to pick something from that category that really stood out to me, that is not what I would have picked, just because that's not really my particular style.
Yeah.
But that was very cool.
Well, let's come back around, TJ, because I think I have a follow-up question. Darren, just to kind of wrap this up, what's the it factor for you? Like, everybody's made some great points. I like what TJ said, where he's talking about almost blending of genres. That's one of the things I think that really does appeal to me. I'm not as big a fan of the Maschinen Krieger as TJ is, but what I really like about it is you kind of blend that science fiction and that armor element together. Yeah. And I think what you get left with is really, really interesting. But what's that it factor for Darren?
You're right. There's been a lot of great points made, and I probably look like a bobblehead over here, just with my head going up and down, because almost everything I wrote down here has been touched on. From the uniqueness of the subject, absolutely 100%. The realism, which I think is subjective, right, for everybody, but is it realistic in my eye? I know it, going back to what TJ said, I know it when I see it. It's that realistic level that speaks to me, and all that comes in to the color and the finish, all things that have been said, and that goes across genres too. It's not I'm mainly an aircraft builder, but I dabble in other stuff, cars, etc. Certainly not. And I'm gonna kind of, as Phil says, let me paint you a picture. I'm not an armor builder, but I was going across the interwebs, and I came across was it armorama.com, and came across that 155 millimeter long tom cannon, and went, holy hell, that is beautiful. And it spoke to me. Now this artist, this was done by Nevada Sarah, also had the the M4 high speed tractor with it, and the paint on it, and the colors, and the subtle weathering with just the dust and the tires, and the chains hanging on it, the rust on the exhaust, that spoke to me. It looked real in my eye, and of course inspired me now for the Overload group build, which we'll talk about later. But it's that type of inspiration, and I think TJ just nailed on the head. You'll know it when you see it. It could be a number of things, but when the stars align and they all come together, pow, there it is. Yep. inspiration. I got to do it. I found it in Taiwan, driving on the base, and there was an F-104 on a stick. And I said, oh my God, I didn't even have a clue. So now I've got one in my cabinet, so it could be a one-to-one that inspires you as well, not just a model kit. So the inspiration comes from everywhere. But as far as a model itself, per se, in scale, the letter, exactly what I said, just the when you see it and it pops.
So thinking about it a little bit more, what I look for, and I've noticed what I gravitate towards. I've probably mentioned this before in other shows, but I call it fidelity of finish, right? What I like to see and what I wish I could do and try very, very hard to do, and I'm not there yet. And I feel like very few people is that high fidelity of finish. And what I mean by that is look at Dan Brooker's armor builds, right? If you zoom in, and he posts zoom in photos all the time on both his Facebook page and in the Posse group and elsewhere, the level of fidelity of the finish is just amazing, right? It all looks both intentional, but also like it happened naturally. So every single little paint chip, every single little fleck of whatever nonsense, dirt, grime, whatever, it all looks like it was put there intentionally without looking like he's like, I'm just going to put a bunch of shit right here. It looks natural. Kev Smith is another modeler that does that a lot. He did a 48 scale Churchill crocodile. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And he's posted some zoom in, close in photos, and you're just like, wow. Like, I don't know how to get that. He's working on the 1/16 scale something or other at some sort of vehicle, and he just posted some photos of the engine compartment, and it looks like a real engine compartment. Because when you zoom in on it, it looks just like if I went out in my garage and popped the hood on my F-150. Like, it's dirty because, I don't wash my engine. I drive it on construction sites. It's dirty. It's got, oil stains on it from changing my oil and all that crap. And that's what that looks like. And another person that does it is Brian Krieger. If you look at his both military models and his Machine & Krieger models, that the level and fidelity of finish is amazing. Right. It all looks like it belongs. Like his Schenkel that he took to Nats last year that won Best Science Fiction. This is one of my favorite models of all time, because when I've seen it more than once in person up close, and you just everywhere you look, there's something, right? Like a real thing would have, like a real thing that's walking around because it's some sort of walker. It's existing in the real environment would have that, right? If I go out to my truck and I climb under it, the underside of my truck is dirty. Anywhere, even if places you didn't think dirt could get, there's dirt there, right? Because that's just the way the reality works. And that's the way the modelers that I really look up to and idolize, that's what they do. And that shit is hard because I've tried and I can't do it. And my hat's off to these guys that can, because holy crap, like, yeah, that's, if I had to pick one thing, like what stands out in a good model, like an amazing model, it's that.
Yeah, I think that Schenkel and Brian, that's a great example. I mean, you, just like you said, you look at Brian's work, and it's Adam Wilder's another great example. You look at one of Adam's builds, and what you find is every weld seam, every bolt head, every fender, every element of that model tells a story, and then, like you said, looks like it belongs. It doesn't look like it's an add-on afterthought. It looks like it belongs. And then, when you see an aircraft, it's maybe the fact that a fuel tank looks a little different than the bird that it's slung under, or, how the ordnance looks and how that's presented. Darren, your Mercedes race car that you brought to Vegas, it looked, some parts of it were really, really shiny, but yet some parts of it looked like it just came off the track. You could almost smell the burning brakes because, certain subtle parts of that car weren't shiny and they were beat up, even though the overall, finish of the car looked like $1 million race car that people really lovingly cared for.
Yeah. It's all subtle. Every single bit of it's subtle, and I don't like it when it's overdone. Like my eggs and my steak. I don't like it when it's overdone, man. So yeah. Subtle. Less is more.
Yeah.
I think another really good person besides Brian is Kreiner. Brian Kreiner also himself is aircraft modeler.
Yeah, absolutely.
His subtlety with metal tones is phenomenal. That's the kind of stuff that, like TJ was talking about, is that it's so natural looking that you almost don't notice it so because it's real to me. His DD2 or DD, was it the German aircraft, the double propeller one, that that aircraft is beautiful. I mean, literally probably one of the best models I've ever seen. And he did a MiG a while ago too. I think it's 148, but that is another aircraft that I saw at Copart, not Copart, but in Colorado at one of the shows. And that's a phenomenal, the coloring on that, the way it looks so real that it's just amazing.
Yeah, I think more and more for me too. And Tim and Darren kind of want your opinion on this, but we're starting to see more and more aircraft modelers implement more traditionally what would be considered armor or diorama or vignette elements. A great example is Steve Husted and the way that he presents his models, where they're literally a part of the environment, and that it could be an aircraft that's crashed. It could be an aircraft that's on the water. I mean, but he does a really, really good job of presenting the model as really an integrated part of a display, rather than a model that's stuck on a base.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Steve is an artist and just wicked good at what he does. I've never attempted to do that and put it into like a diorama. One, I think it's because I'm lazy. I don't want to try and learn how to do all the diorama bits and pieces. I saw his, I think it was a 109. That was that crash scene he had at Nationals. Was that in 109? I believe it was.
Yes. But
if you look at trying to replicate damage on an aircraft, in my opinion, is damn near impossible to do. And he pulls it off well. It's something I know I couldn't do. I like to see people playing with those different types of effects. And, I don't know, maybe some inspiration will hit me from one of these days. I just know that trying to do that type of damage and make it look like it is supposed to be there and that it's real, I just don't know that I could pull that off. My hat's off to him for it. But you're right. We're seeing a lot more of it.
When it's an artist like Steve, it's inspirational, but I know my skills are nowhere near close enough to even attempt something like that. So I look at it, I long for it, and maybe sometime before I go to the modeling room in the sky, I'll actually do something like that. But it's not, I know for a fact it'll never look as good as what Steve can do.
I think some of it too, for me, it comes down to storytelling. Spud's 16th scale Sherman, some of the touches, the baseball bat and the glove and the baseballs. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but trust a modeler from the UK to incorporate such a awesome storytelling element that's so American into a model. And it's a little thing, but to me, it's just really, really inspiring. It really brings the piece to life a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think, I was going to kind of go around and maybe ask everybody to maybe talk about a specific piece, but I think we've thrown a bunch out there and probably ought to get moving on. But thanks, guys. That was really a good discussion. Let me kick this over to TJ and Darren to talk about our new combined group build.
All right. Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of listeners already know. As a matter of fact, I know they know because they're in our group already. We have launched our group build /display/SIG. It's all of those things, all the wonderful things for Madison next year for the IPMS Nats. So far, it is off to a roaring good start. I think. Sorry, I was going to pull it up before we started and I forgot.
I got a few numbers here for entries. Anyway, I did a little data search last night for our geek recording. Rough count, I got right at, 34 armor pieces, 24. I think we're a little bit light there, aircraft, and 7 in the miscellaneous. And what we're a month in to this group build. So those are really good numbers in my book.
Yeah, I think so. And I know that those numbers will only grow because I think I only have one thing on the list, and I will be bringing more than one thing for this display. So because I don't think I even put the aircraft that I want to build on there. I have an armor piece that I'm planning on building, but so for the uninitiated, we are doing an Operation Overlord themed group build and display for the Nats. What that means is anything from Operation Overlord, which would be the Allied invasion of France in 1944, because next year is the 80th anniversary of the launch of that operation in June, famously launched on June 6th with amphibious assault on Normandy by the Allied nations. And Operation Overlord ends on August 30th, which coincidentally was yesterday, as the time 2 days ago from the time of this recording, and that is following the liberation of Paris. Not the whole liberation of France, but General Eisenhower declared the Operation Overlord ended after the liberation of Paris. So what you can build is anything armor or aircraft related in 35th scale, 4th scale, from the start of the amphibious invasion, which is that part is called Operation Neptune, part of Operation Overlord, till the end of the whole operation with the fall of, or the liberation of Paris. So that's a ton of things, and just a ton of very important and well-known battles happen from those 2 dates. I mean, it's one of the biggest, probably outside of the Bulge and like Market Garden. It's one of the most well-documented and well-known and just important, obviously, events of I mean, it was the opening of the Western Front in World War II for the Allies. So,
yeah, it's good stuff. I'm seeing a lot of good work, and the group is also, as TJ said, is set up to be a SIG as well. So, if you've got reference pictures, if you've got stories, if you've got things from during Operation Overlord that you want to share information, please do. I think, Tim, we got the actual memo that went out there on the D-Day and invasion stripes and the size and placements and all that stuff. We put that instruction up.
Correct.
So things of that nature, if you've got that information, I encourage you to put it into the group so everyone can see it. The rules that TJ mentioned, I think is important to understand. Armor, 35th scale, aircraft, 48 scale. In the miscellaneous, TJ and Frill will kind of judge that as to which way they're going to go. With the miscellaneous, like ships, etc. If anybody's doing, I think there's a couple ships right now that are in.
Mm-hmm.
And the big one is Allied equipment only. There's been a couple of questions about aircraft, and it's Allied aircraft, right, with D-Day stripes. So just wanted to make sure that we hit that point for sure.
Yes, that is very important. We are honoring the men and equipment of the Allied nations in Operation Overlord, right? So that's United States, the Commonwealth, Canada, and all the other minor nations, Poland, and I want to say even Brazil. Brazilian soldiers, there was an expeditionary force. I'm pretty sure they were involved in Overlord. I'm not 100% sure, but if you go and search for it on Google, you will find a list of pretty much every Western nation that was allied with the big 2, us, or the big 3, I guess, if you want to count Canada, which I guess we could. Sorry, Jim. And
You should. They played a pretty big part.
Yeah, I know. I'm just being a smart ass. Yeah. So it's a list. I mean, just there's tons of equipment, both in the ground and in the air. And I would encourage people to try to think outside of the box a little bit. I know, because I say that as someone that's going to build a P-47 bubble top, but whatever. But there's a lot of, the common misconception is we had one tank and 2 different kinds of airplanes. Couldn't be further from the truth. There is a large list of equipment that the Allies used in World War II. I know everyone likes to think, oh, the Germans had so many things. Well, so did the Allies. So, think outside the box a little bit. Find that cool subject that you don't see a lot of. And especially now with today, with the wealth of kits out there. I mean, like Grant mentioned earlier, we have an M29 Weasel in 35th scale. 10 years ago, no one would have ever thought that. I mean, it's a stupid looking vehicle. It's awesome. Sorry, JB, but things like that. And by the way, 2 of the markings in that box are for Normandy. So, and there's lots of pictures online of the M29 being used in France in June and July and even August. So
awesome. Well, if people aren't aware, where can they sign up / post pictures of their work?
That would be the Operation Overlord Facebook group. Just type it in, search the search bar up there, Operation Overlord, and it'll come up. You can't miss it. TJ did a fantastic job with the graphics for the group cover page there, and you'll see it. No missing it there. And then reach out to TJ and Frill. They're keeping track of all the entries on the spreadsheet, which I believe there's a link to it in the group as well. So you can click on that and you can see who's doing what as far as builds go. So
yeah, and it's important to note that doubles are fine, triples are fine. There is no. I think a lot of the guys that were veterans of our Sherman build were kind of stuck in that mindset where when we did our Sherman build, it was everyone build something different. That is not that case with this build. Feel free to build whatever you want. There's a pinned post that has the link to the spreadsheet that I built. Just comment on that post. Just because you don't see your name added immediately doesn't mean you're not allowed to participate. It's nothing like that. Just comment what you want to build and just start building. Post pictures. Frill and I go through when, we both work, we both are busy. I try to hit it, I don't know, a couple of times a week to see if anything's been added. And we'll throw it on the list. The main reason why that spreadsheet exists is so when we put our display out in Madison next year, we can properly credit every piece on the table with who it was, what they did. That's the most important part. That doesn't mean just because your name's not on the list now, you're not allowed to participate. No, not at all. Not at all. Please just join, build, have a good time. That is what it's all about. We'll handle the bookkeeping. It's not a big deal. We'll make sure your name's on the list between now and when we all get to Madison, Wisconsin next year in July, right? It's in July this year. So, yep. So don't sweat it. You're good to go. That's I think that's pretty much all I can think of. And the build guidelines are there. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to any of us, not just me, not just Frill, to any of the geeks, any of the Triple P guys. We're all in the group and we will help you get sorted.
Do you have any thoughts on how you'd like everything displayed? Would you like pictures supplied at the show of what they've done, like of the original, like pictures of it in Normandy? And here's your model. Do you want that, or is that going to take up too much space?
Yeah, that'd probably take up a lot
into a base or something. Because I had a thought on mine.
That would probably take up a lot of space, I'm thinking, and a lot of if the numbers keep growing the way I think they're gonna, we're gonna be stretched for space for sure. There's a lot of entries.
Yeah, could we possibly make a book, like a folder we could set out that has pictures, reference pictures of everything, so that it's all in one spot?
Hot damn, that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah,
that is an awesome idea, actually.
That's great.
Damn, Doug, that was a good idea.
It's for selfish reasons, because it's what I want to build. It's kind of unique. The P-47 had to belly in Normandy on June 7th. So there's actually a YouTube video of it getting towed away. So I was thinking I would like to incorporate, somehow have that picture there.
So
a picture from that.
So all right, let me say this. That's an amazing idea, and I think we're gonna have to do that. So probably offline, we'll get together, all of us. We'll figure out something. So because what you can do is because that's what guys do for like their brag books now. You can get like that stuff printed from, I think, like maybe Amazon or whatever, super cheap, really fast. So maybe we'll set up a time, pick a date. Hey, if you want a picture, your reference photo or whatever, and even a blurb of what you're doing, a picture, a blurb of what you did, whatever, you can get that to us. I am more than willing to make that happen, get it printed out into like one of those little brag books that you see on builds, because that would be really cool for anyone walking by to, see the picture, see your model. Damn, that is a really good idea. I'm a little annoyed I didn't think of that.
Man,
tip of the hat, Doug.
Damn. Yeah, good job, Doug.
TJ, I think that might be something I frankly would like to have a copy of.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to look into it. And feel free, you guys, to look into it too, because I'm pretty sure once they have it, you can print as many copies as you want, I would imagine. It's like a print on demand service.
Yeah, it'd be great if you could, had a link or something. Hey, if you want a copy of this, go to this website, and it's an Amazon website where you just do a print on demand and it's delivered to your home.
Yes, we're going to look into that. And also, now that we're kind of mentioning that, I know JB had an idea. We're gonna work aside from the book to get something, a memento to everyone that can get their work on the table. We haven't nailed it down yet, but the ideas that we have floating around are extremely cool. So I will tell you this, everyone's going to like it. Because I think JB's idea is workable, and I think we're going to find a good way to do it. It's going to be a little memento, for everyone that participates, and just based on, what we've discussed with JB, it's pretty damn cool. So that's all. I'll leave it at that, and there'll be more information on that in the future.
Awesome. It's going to be quite a display at Madison. I can't wait to see what we come up with. If you want to participate, please join in. all the instructions have already been said. So we'd love to have as much participation as we can. It's always a lot of fun bringing these group builds to nationals because, the camaraderie is what it's all about. Well, before we move over to Grant to talk about our new facade group build, we have been joined by the world famous Nemo. Scott Samo rolling in and joining us. How are you, Scott?
Hey, what's up, man? How you guys doing? Sorry I'm late. Just life happens, right? Sometimes. So, yeah, doing great. Happy to be here. Look forward to the discussion.
Awesome. Well, we can confirm Darren and Tim have only rolled you under the bus maybe 2 or 3 times.
That's fine.
So you're good.
It was a gentle roll. It was a gentle roll.
No, let me have it. It's, guilty as charged. Yes, whatever. You guys are good looking. I'm not attractive. Y'all are more better, faster, funnier. Yeah. I like Whitey always says, always waiting on pilots, always waiting on the pilots. I'm like, yeah, because I'm busy getting you freaking dudes out of jail. Well, anyway, see story.
Awesome. Well, glad you could join us, and we're going to put you to work here shortly. Grant, let's talk briefly about our new facade group build with AK Interactive.
Okay, so we do have a new group build. Like he said, it's the facade group build. So AK has 2 boxes out. We're doing this in conjunction with the Posse, of course, and Rick Lawler and Propaganda Channel. I want to say a big thanks to Rick for helping us set this all up, and really do appreciate your work on that. We do not have a specific face group page build for this, so please understand that. We've gotten that question a lot of times. But if you build one of these or make one of these or in the process of it, we need you to hashtag it with facade group build. All one word, facade group build. Now, Rick is also offering to put up some stuff on his page too also. So make sure you let Rick know what you're doing it and all that kind of stuff, and send it to all of us. Now, there's a couple things. This is basically a 60-day build. It started yesterday, September 1st. JB started a month ago. I'm not going to say anymore. Also, it goes through the end of October 30th. So you have that time to build your facade. You could do whatever you want to it. You could put stuff on it. You could build it straight out of the box. You can use the paints that are in the box, the brushes that are in the box. You can use other stuff. A little hint. I found this out yesterday. I was at Hobby Lobby. I'm pretty sure that's where I got it, or wherever, Michael's or something like that. And I found a little small 5x7 shadow box. That is the exact size with a little bit of extra room on the top that'll fit the facade in it perfectly. So you get an extra little inch width or depth in it. So you could put a sidewalk on there and get a lamp on there, put a dog out front, put a person in front, whatever you need. But it's 5x7. And it fits inside of it perfectly. Mine is black. They had white ones. So it cost me like $7. So that is a perfect size. 5x7 shadow box is what you need. Look for those, and they'll help you put this together. Fun great little kits. I hope you guys enjoy them. We are having a great time. Doug has been nailing it. His looks really, really good. I'm really kind of envious of Doug's work on his so far. And JB has his out. He's got his boxes on there marked with sci-fi and other, little model stuff on there. So like I said, these are great little builds. It's a 60-day build. You've got till the end of October to do this. Join us, have some great time with us, show us pictures, make sure you hashtag a facade group build, and we'll all get, so everybody can see them. These kits are it's basically a box kit. You can get them at your local hobby stores. They are out now. You can order them straight from AK. For me, I'm going to say this personally, I get my stuff from AK pretty darn quick. I mean, within a couple days, usually within 4 or 5 days at the most, I'm getting stuff. I think I ordered a book from them Tuesday and I got it yesterday. They are very fast shipping. If you can find them here in the States, there's several companies out there that have AK products. Go ahead and look. It's just for fun. Please get out there and join us. Make sure you hashtag it facade group build.
I'd like to add one thing to that. Rick had mentioned that, hey, if you don't have one of these and you're not going to be able to get the AK all-in-one box, get some foam and make your own facade.
Yep, exactly. And I forgot to mention that. Thanks, Doug. God, you're on ball today, Doug. You're just throwing out great ideas and everything. So, yeah.
Rare, isn't it?
No. So Rick said, like he said, like Doug said also, is that, if you don't have one of these kits, just get a piece of foam, start carving away and put on their hashtag facade group build, have a great time. Please join us. We're not, no discrimination. Let's just put it that way. All right.
All right. Well, thank you, Grant. And hopefully you guys will all join along with us. So far, like he said, those are looking really, really cool. I can't wait to break into mine. Well, I am going to go through yet again a very, very full show calendar very, very quickly. If you have any shows you'd like us to talk about, please send those to plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com. So to start off, we have the Central Arkansas Scale Modelers Show, September 29th and 30th. It's at the Jacksonville Community Center, a few miles northeast of Little Rock. If you're in the area, you're going to want to go just for the seminars. Looks fantastic. We have IPMS Orange Con in Buena Park. That's on October 1st. We have PatCon, which will be on Sunday, October 1st at the Hudson Elks Lodge in Hudson, Massachusetts. We have PaxCon 2023 at the Hollywood Volunteer Fire Department in Hollywood, Maryland on October 7th. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. We have the IPMS Vancouver Fall Show at the Bonsor Recreation Complex in Burnaby, British Columbia on October 7th. Also on October 7th, we have the Reno IPMS High Rollers Show. You can get more details on that at renohighrollers.com. We have the IPMS Duneland 2023 Model Contest, which is October 14th at the Hobart Moose Lodge in Hobart, Indiana. We have CapCon at the Canadian War Museum in Ottawa on October 14th. You can go to ipmsottawa.com for details on that. We have Scale Model Challenge SMC in Eindhoven, October 14th and 15th. We have the MMSI show at the Chicago Marriott in Schaumburg, Illinois. Trying to talk Mr. Cook here for joining us for that, October 20th and 21st. On Saturday, November 4th, we have the All Things Recce show, which is the Region 12 Model Contest. That's in Dallas, North Carolina. You can get more details on that at ipmscharlotte.org. Sunday, November 5th, we have the Cleveland Model Show in Kirtland, Ohio. You can see the Cleveland Model Show page on Facebook for more details. We have the Bay Colony Modelers Club putting on BayCon 23, Sunday, November 5th in Franklin, Massachusetts. And finally, we have Scale Model World Telford in Shropshire, UK. That's November 11th and 12th. So lots of events, no excuses. Get out there, hang out with your buddies, have some cold beverages afterwards, have a great time. It's what makes this hobby great.
We missed one, and it is PenCon, which is on Saturday, September 16th in Carlisle, PA for Central PA IPMS. Pretty sure I will be there. I don't know if any of the geeks are. I know you guys normally go. I couldn't make it last year, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to this one.
Yeah, I think myself and
I'll be there.
Tim and Whitey. Yeah, well, us three will be there. Dan will be out and Phil will be out, but three of the geeks will be there. So looking forward to it's a smaller show, but it's awesome. There's such great people. And again, I'm a big fanboy of the whole gold, silver, bronze thing now. We'll get more into that later. But yeah, we'll all be there.
All right. Thanks, TJ. Thanks, guys. So Doug, we have any feedback?
Okay. Yes, we're going to start off with our friend Cliff. He said, Showboy, your interview with Link was both awesome and a lesson in vocabulary. Teasing Grant about painting by candlelight took me straight back to modeling on my best friend's dining room table during Hurricane Alicia in '83. On a serious note, I had an episode similar to Link about a decade ago. Sat down at a blood pressure machine in a grocery store and was 210 over something equally as bad. I was in the hospital just a few days later. What you don't know can hurt you. I would encourage everyone out there, every once in a while, at the supermarket or pharmacy, check your blood pressure. It could save your life. And Captain Easter egg, that was great. And I echo that as well. I actually bought my own blood pressure cuff for the same reasons. Now I'm going to go on to Dana Mathis. He enjoyed listening to the podcast. It's well done as always. And there were some questions he answered. He wanted to throw out some hobby shops in the for our friend coming in from New Zealand. He said hobby shops in the San Antonio area, Dibbles Hobby, Hill Country Hobby. Lionheart is in Kyle, King's Hobbies in Austin. And he'd also like to invite our Kiwi friend to the Alamo Squadron Club meeting at Jordan Ford on the first Thursday night of each month at 6 p.m. Also threw out something. We talked about Winterfest coming up in January, and the closest airport access is Bush International Airport in Houston. And there's a lot of things to do around there. We'll get more information to you on that as it gets closer. Let's see. We've got Kevin Kelly shouting out the Cleveland Model Show set on November 5th. The flyers at clevelandmodelshow.com. He says, I especially want to invite anyone from the Gundam, Mecha, and Machine and Krieger community. We only had 5. That's right, 5 entries in our Gundam and Mecha category last year, and we would love to see more. We could use some help judging since we are pretty good with tanks and planes, but don't have a lot of interaction with the Gundam and Mecha models. Yes, I know there's a difference, but again, we only had 5 entries last year. Chris Hughes has been binging the last few episodes. He says, nice work as usual. There's an upcoming armor show you guys need to add to the episode show announcements, Armor and Scale. It's scheduled for Saturday, the 21st of October. That's in there, right? We got that one?
Nope, I don't think so.
No, we don't have that one. So the 21st of October of 23, the show includes a contest using AMP-style judging. And, of course, the background is nearly 200 pieces of the real deal. Check out the Armory Cavalry Collection Facebook page, or is that Freak Back or something? I don't know. There's a good chance I'll be there. Cheers.
Thanks, Toad Man. He's a good guy. Takes excellent pictures. Support of the show. Appreciate you, Chris.
Ray Davis. Thoroughly enjoyed this jam-packed episode. It was great to hear about Cliff Herring's time in the military and about his model building background, as well as hearing Rick Lawler bagging out John for already starting the group build already. I might need to ask Rick if there is an Aussie distributor for the Land Rover and the facade set. Would be interesting to see how I'd go for a newbie doing a facade. I have to remember to start up a new Faceback account because Doug said so, but I blame JB. Seriously, guys, great show up and keep up the great content. Daniel Brooker wants to know if we can recommend any decent 3D prints for 20-liter NATO jerry cans and British oil drums or cans that can be used on a Chieftain that can be enlarged to a 1/6 scale. Cheers, peeps.
Yeah, 1/6 scale. We can dig and see if we can find something for you, Daniel, but probably don't want to upscale a 35th scale print that much, but we'll take a look around, and if we find something, we'll post it on the page for you.
If you can find someone that had modeled it in full scale, then it can be shrunk down easily, but yeah, I don't know. That's going to be a tough one, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, Adam Jackson said, hey, Plastic Posse Podcast, just started listening to the latest episode. After I'm done listening, I'll be sure to give some good feedback here on Faceback. Thanks, Adam, but we're still waiting, man.
Doug, you're a huge hit with the fans, man.
I am a hit, aren't I? Yeah, I'm great with my inability to form words sometimes. Martin Holst, just listened to episode 76. Thanks for a fun-filled episode, boys. Please invite Lincoln more often. Some quality laughs, guaranteed as a novice Machine and Krieger fan. Very educational as well on the design aspect with that showboy Frank Lloyd Wright feeling feng shui thing. And remember, if you hire TJ Holler, you're going to get, cheers from Holland. I'm not sure I know.
Well, one thing I do know is nobody gives TJ crap better than Link does, so...
And speaking of Martin Holst, he had a special request. He wanted a shout out. He shared to our Flapjack page post by History Mill, who built a 1/144 scale diorama of the F4U Corsair wind tunnel test at Langley in 1945. You can find that by looking at the Triple P FUBU page dated August 30th.
I saw that. That's a really cool piece. I like the way it was done.
It was way cool. Remember to check out the Triple P on the Facebook for more updates, cool builds, share your own work. If you haven't joined yet, check it out and join the fun. You can also share your feedback. Oh, man, I hate that word. To plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com.
Oh, man, that was awesome, Doug. Thank you very, very much. All right, well, I'm going to turn some time over to Grant to spend some quality time with our rock star guests, Tim and Darren and Scott from the ModelGeeks podcast and part of the crew that are putting on the upcoming Paxcon show.
All right, so this is our main feature. We're going to be talking to, as you know, Darren, Nemo, and Tim. So PAXCon coming up. For all of the individuals out there that might not know, could you give us basically the rundown of what PAXCon is and what you guys are going to be doing in this show?
Well, it's a traditional local one-day show. In that respect, it's going to start at 9:00 in the morning on the 7th of October, 2023, down in Hollywood, Maryland, at the Hollywood Volunteer Fire Department. And we expect to finish up around 3:30, 4 o'clock ish, give or take whatever is necessary. So whenever the competition portion is done and Scott's announced all the winners and given out all the awards, then at that point, it's a matter of, like any other show, clean up and make sure that we police the area and get it all put back together. We're planning on having, currently we've got 25 vendors, and then, which is really good. Now included in the vendors are the single people that are selling their stashes, et cetera. So
like
that's
me, shameless plug. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Actually, it's not me. It's my wife. My wife's going to be sitting at the table, and she volunteered. So I was like, you really want to sit at a model show all day and sell my kits? And she's like, sure. I'm like, so she's awesome, man. My wife's cool. So you guys will get to meet her too.
Right.
Way cooler than me. Sorry, Tim. I'll shut up.
No, that's okay. Well, but I do have it on good authority that Darren is going to raid your stash before it actually goes on the table.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm seriously considering it.
So I got a question. I got a question for you guys also. What was the genesis behind this? How long you guys been working on it? What was the idea? What was
Gosh, back in 2019, I think it was, I forget when, it was one of the guys, I want to say it was Vince, said, hey, what do you guys think about a model show? And,
we've been pushing it, like Whitey and Frill and I, we've been wanting to do this for, 10 years or so since we first, hooked up with each other and, we all moved to this area. We were just like, man, went to a couple of the meetings. I'm like, man, we should do a show. Yeah. And then we asked a few people and they're like, no way, man, we're not doing that. And most folks were really opposed to it.
Wow.
And in the beginning, they wanted nothing. They didn't even want us to be like an IPMS club because they were afraid that, I have to admit, like, we got one of the best clubs ever. We don't do a lot of admin. It's like Tim keeps a real tight timeline, which we come in, a little bit of admin, and then it's just talking about models. And it's a great format, and it's fantastic. And it's really grown. It's huge. And so, I think finally just people got a little bit more involved and said, Tim, he was very tactful with how he brought it up to the group, and everybody seemed to kind of buy in. And then here we are.
So Grant, you asked the genesis of the show. I just want to touch on that word genesis and go back to what he said. Scott said about the club itself. The club was the genesis of our podcast, and that's what we modeled it after. So if you can imagine that type of environment, sitting around for 2 hours talking about models, that's exactly what we fostered here locally. It's just, as Scott said, it's an amazing club, and my hat's off to Tim and our previous president, Chuck Connor. It's theirs, and they did it. So hats off.
That's great. Just sitting around talking about models. It's just, that's a dream for all of us. That's the great part about it. Yeah.
How many people were at our last show? Our last club meeting. I think there were like 30 something, almost 40 people.
Yeah. So we had 36 people, which was a record. And we had 41 models on the table, which was also a record. And it was a typical, unfortunately, a typical meeting where we literally were talking about models right up until closing time. And guys, some of them had difficulty getting through, it's the old, you get 5 minutes, guys, otherwise Scott's not going to get his 5 minutes later on. So it's I'm just using Scott as an example, but the point is that it's about talking about your model and what you've done and what you're trying to achieve with your model. It's not about having a meeting. It's not about minutes. It's not about blah, blah, blah. It's about models. And that's what we make the club about. And frankly, we'd go until 11 or later if we could, but the venue we're in closes at 9. So we have to leave. Now, some of us go out for dinner afterwards and continue to talk models, which is great.
That is fantastic. That is, you said 34 or
36 at the last
36.
One.
Wow. That is.
And we're averaging about one new member every month or so.
That's amazing. That really is.
Just to segue that back to PAXCon, our big fear right now is people are going to come to the show in October and they go, oh my God, I didn't know there was a club here. And we have instantly outgrown, which we're already busting at the seams with people at the place we're currently at.
First world problems, man.
So now the job is out trying.
Yeah,
find a new place. Yeah, it is First.
Yeah, I want that problem. I really do.
Place.
Yeah,
now, which is hard.
So let's get back to the show a little bit.
Yep.
You gonna have seminars, or are you gonna have things like that also, or
no seminars this time?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go over some of the special theme awards. What do you guys got for that?
Well, I'm going to let Samo talk about it.
Yeah, so
cool.
I volunteered myself when it came to awards and sort of some of the theme awards and whatnot. So we've got 9, the standard kind of best ofs, best aircraft, best ship, best armor. And then we've got 6 special awards. And those are, let's see here, I've got a list. So best U.S. Navy Marine prop, best U.S. Navy Marine jet, best test subject operated here at Pax River, best adversary, and then best previous NATS winner. Those are all the kind of the special awards that we have. And then of course
there's one more. There's one more. Best Marine rotary tilt.
Oh, how can I forget that one? Being the Hilo guy, jeez. And then of course best in show, and then people's choice. So and we really tried to, like me with the previous NATS winner. Like I really, most of the time, a lot of folks that they go to NATS and if they have a one and done, that's it, and then it just never sees the anywhere. Sometimes I'll bring some to display, but a lot of times I just bring a couple of whatever I have that's new. And I thought it would be cool to have folks be able to bring their previous NATS winners, and then we'll have a couple judges that'll pick the best one. So we've got a pretty decent special awards. They're all done by Bases by Bill. So they're probably, I think they're like 6 inches by like 8 inches are the standard best ofs, and then the specials, and then best in show and people's choice they're bigger. They're like 10 by 14.
Wow.
And they'll have our regular awards, the gold, silver, bronze. Those are all coins. They're like 2-inch coins that has Paxcon. We had them at NATS. I think some folks were able to see them, but that was a lot of work went into getting that logo done and the design done for the coin. Again, and working with the Bases by Bill folks, they've been awesome to do the awards for us. And the big awards will have the inlays, and we'll have the 3 coins of gold, silver, bronze in the actual best of show fairly in that. And so we're pretty excited about it. I mean, we put a lot of effort into the awards, and those have been in work for a long time. So yeah, I think we're covered with special categories and good awards. I think they're, again, it's not a, it's sort of a double-edged sword kind of thing here, where I know we're not about the quote contest, we're not out to crush the competition with all the girly models, get out of here. What are you thinking, bringing this stupid little toy girly model? No, we're not about that. It's really, I just can't wait to see everybody, but we're trying to bring people into the hobby. We're trying to promote the hobby. That's one of the reasons we went with gold, silver, bronze, so that models that deserve awards receive them. And then on the other hand, models that maybe didn't deserve award don't get one. But it's really about, you got to have a little nugget for folks. And so I think the awards are kind of neat, and I think the format that we have is pretty awesome, and we're excited to try it out.
Yeah, I did see the copy of the coin, and it is beautiful. I mean, it really turned out really fantastic, and it's very, very impressive. You guys you've done a fantastic job. You made a great comment that you're bringing in everybody, and that's what it's all about. I think that's what you guys are doing a very well job, doing that.
With regards to awards, Scott and Tim and Darren, are all your categories sponsored? Are you guys still accepting sponsorships, trophy packages, anything like that?
We are absolutely accepting. We've got, let's see, rough count. I think there's 5 basic categories that are not sponsored yet. And then I've got another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the specials that are not sponsored yet.
If somebody hears this and they want to sponsor an award or a trophy package, how do they go about doing that?
All they have to do is go to our website, which is somd-scalemodelers.club, and go to the PaxCon 2023 subpage. And on there will be a place where they can sponsor an award. From there, they just choose which award they want to sponsor, whether it's a basic award package, a special award package, or if they just want to be a show sponsor. And those are their choices. They can pay for as many as they want using either PayPal or a credit card.
To make things easier for you guys, are you guys doing pre-registration this year for this show so someone can go there and have their stuff ready when they walk in the door?
No, unfortunately, the IT guy that put the website together was a little bit challenged with that. He's AKA Watosh, and decided that we're going to not do that this year. We're going to do it old school with paper and keep it simple. Maybe for 2025, if I can figure out the software and make sure that it's reliable and repeatable, then we'll do something for 2025.
We had talked about it, but we didn't want to goon up our very first award show and have a huge freaking debacle with, but I registered. Why isn't my registration form? I know I did my form, damn it.
Here's a copy of my receipt.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, shit. All right, sorry, man. So we talked about it, and it would be awesome, but maybe for the next show we'll be able to do that. But we're kind of going old school with paper here for the first one.
Well, crawl, walk, run.
Grant, we do have the registration forms online, so they are editable. They can pre-fill those out and print them out straight off the web page.
Yep.
So those are there and made a little bit easier anyway.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot easier. Trust me. And, that's what it is. When you make it easy, they just walk in, hand you your paper and you're done and you're off to the show. And that's great. That's really great. So, you guys have been doing this, getting ready for this for about 10 years. That's great. And this is your first show. That's another fantastic thing. So I hate to ask this question, but, what's the expectation? What do you think? I mean, just give me a wild guess.
Well, I think I'll just say this real quick. I think we all had because we're all thinking about, okay, what are the normal local shows? Mm-hmm. And we use those numbers to adjust tables and how many vendors and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
We also have our own personal, like we want table risers or, I have a list of judges rules, like don't fricking pick up the model when you're judging it kind of thing. Sorry. And then of course, there's just, I don't know. There's been some talk about that. Maybe, I don't know if you guys have heard about it. Anyway. But yeah, it's definitely, we're in the grand scheme of things, we're just trying to kind of make things, I guess, the simplest as we can. And, just kind of go from there. But yeah, I don't know, Tim, what do you've got to add? To that?
Yeah. So our expectations were, we have a floor and that we're using. And when I say floor, it's here's a minimum number of folks that we need to show up, whether they be vendors or sponsorships or people that walk through the door, to include, the number of modelers that come through the door. And we figured out what those are and set those based on, okay, first show fall in this region usually gets a little less attention. Then we started hearing that we've done a little bit better on the advertising than we thought we were going to do. And so we have an expectation that we're probably going to exceed that floor. We'll probably hit 150% of that. We hope we can actually hit 200%. And frankly, if we start to approach 200%, we're probably, and we're successful, because that's always the key. Then we might have a problem of what do we do in 2025? Or we're going to have space for it. So it's a good problem to have.
Yes.
But we got to get there first. Talk to me in about 6 weeks. And after the show and when the hangover's over, I'll have crunched the numbers and have an idea of how successful or not we were.
But we've really tried to think of everything. Like there's a few things that have definitely gone our way, but we sat down, like we were coming up, how many awards do we need to order? Like we really tried to put some thought into how many. And after Nats, when I had several people come up to me and say, dude, you better be ready for PAXCon. And I was talking to Tim and Darren. I'm like, I think we need to order more awards because we didn't order a whole ton, so we ordered some more and those should be in this week. But those are all great problems to have. Can you imagine if we had enough people on our first show that we had to give them IOUs and we'll just order more and then we'll mail them to them? I think, and everybody would get we need to tell our club members, well, if they haven't heard it yet, they're going to hear it now, but we can get their, the local awards that if folks win, then they'll come second. Well, folks from out of town will make sure that they all get awards first. And but I think we should be good with awards because we made another order. So I think we should be all right. Yeah. It definitely seems to be blowing up a little bit more than we thought.
Yeah. Tim really hit the nail on the head too when he said things are starting to fall our way. I'll give you a perfect example. Decals. This is our first show out of the box and we've got custom decals for, was it the first 200 or
2 to 250. Yeah. So it's first come, first serve.
Yeah.
When we run out, we're out. It's that simple.
And I want to throw out a huge thank you to Chris Meddings, who helped spearhead that for us, working with the company over in the Ukraine to get those. And Whitey and Chris worked hand in hand and get those decals over. So you're listening to this, Chris, a sincere thank you from me and from the Geeks for helping us out with that.
Yeah.
What are the decals? If you don't mind me asking,
they're Pax River topics. So, and specifically the things that you can't get on your typical decal sheet, like logos. The squadron logos that are on the tails, the wing logos, etc., test logos, that kind of thing. So, because they're standard Navy marked aircraft, and generally everything on the aircraft is you would get in your decal sheet when you buy the aircraft model. However, if you wanted to do a test subject, it's a matter of you cut the letters for the side that go on the tail, and then you go, well, but I need the little shock wave or Mach wave, or I need the really detailed test logo for NATC and Naval Air Test Center, and you go, well, I can't get that. Well, we're providing that on this decal sheet in the standard 3 popular scales, 72nd, 48, and 32. And I think it's enough to do 2 in each scale, 2 aircraft in each scale, if I remember right.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like the TPS logo, the U.S. Navy Test Pilot School logo is really an intricate logo that you cannot find anywhere except this sheet. And this sheet's beautiful. Like,
Chris did
I
a
want to
really
be
good
selfish.
job.
Yeah, I want to be selfish and take like a couple of, but I'm not going to. I'll pay my registration and hopefully I'll be one of the first people to get one. But we hope it'll be a success. Again, a lot of this stuff we're just kind of like, we talked about as a group and we're like, is this a good idea? Should we try? Okay, let's go ahead and try this. And we were hoping that things are going to be great. But I think we've tried to put a lot of thought into everything. I'm sure there's things that we might have missed that nobody thought about, or that are going to pop. We're going to have pop-ups the day of the show that you just have to be flexible and roll with it, do the best that you can and prepare the best that you can. But I think I'm really looking forward to it, and it'll be a good time.
Are you guys going to accept freeloaders?
All are welcome. All.
Yeah, everybody's welcome. That's right. It's when you show up, we're not, while we are an IPMS chartered chapter, we're not going to ask for IPMS membership to enter the competition. And speaking of which, for the decal sheet, if you register, you show up with a registration sheet and you pay the fee to have a model on the table, whether it's display or competition, doesn't matter, then you get the decal sheet. So the idea is that, we don't want just anybody walking off the street and going, hey, here's my $10. I want a decal sheet. No, you got to bring a model in. So we are going to tie it to the let's get more models on the table.
I was going to say it's run by a bunch of freeloaders. So hell yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So I wanted to circle back around on, Nemo talked a little bit about, gold, silver, bronze, and you guys are, implementing kind of for an IPMS show, a non-traditional approach. So maybe Scott, Tim, Darren, talk to us a little bit about what your judging and awards are going to look like for your show.
Yeah.
Scott, over to you, man.
Yeah. You want me to take it off?
Yep.
So, we definitely put a lot of time and effort into the going back and forth and in the infancy stages of just us talking about this. That was the number one kind of, what are we going to do? Do we want to do first, second, third, or do we want to do gold, silver, bronze? And like I've mentioned before, I was a huge proponent of first, second, third, and I was a huge, really adamant against gold, silver, bronze. And as you can see, we're doing gold, silver, bronze. And that's because I was able to really think about, okay, why am I so against gold, silver, bronze? And Whitey and I were talking about this. And the bottom line is that gold, silver, bronze fixes a lot of the issues that you might have with first, second, third, which most notably it's models that deserve an award sometimes with first, second, third don't get one. And I think gold, silver, bronze fixes that. It also, we're like, hey, we want to bring in as many people as we can and experience this show. And so we're like, gold, silver, bronze helps with that too, because you're not competing against, say, a master builder. You're just competing against a standard, the gold, silver, and bronze standard. And if you look on, you can go on the PaxCon website, and we've got the PaxCon Judges Guide, which has everything in there that we're looking at when it comes to really the boils down to looking at fundamentals first, just like you're judging any other category. But I've got specifics on what exactly you're looking for, like seams, glue, alignment, paint finish, clear parts, decals, stuff like that. And then it also lists what the gold standard is, what the silver standard, and so on. So it's people can go on the website and take a look if they're interested. If not, no big deal. But then you can kind of see, hey, if this is new, or what is all this gold, silver, bronze hoopla about? It's all, I think, and again, we spent a lot of time going over these guides so that they make sense and people can read them, and they can feel comfortable coming into a gold, silver, bronze type of competition. Most everybody's used to the 1, 2, 3, but I think it's going to be great. I really do. And again, we've spent a lot of time going over this stuff and making sure that we've tweaked things here and there, and that we'll have a judge. The judges is the big thing. I want to have is, please, I welcome everybody to come judge, and we have it all. Yeah. TJ, yes. Everybody. And don't be afraid to come judge, so that we're not sitting there for, hours and hours. The goal is we'll have the judges meeting around 10 o'clock, and hopefully we can start judging right away and be done by 3. Yeah. So go ahead.
That's it fixes that too, the judging piece, because now that you're competing against the standard and yourself, the piece can almost be judged as soon as it's set on the table.
Yep.
You don't have to wait.
Right.
So you can start moving, and we'll have judging teams walking through and doing that, starting at 10 o'clock, looking at stuff on tables. You may not even know that's what they're doing.
Yep.
So it does fix that.
And we made another decision about how to most of the time after the show's over. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but sitting around for an hour listening to them call out every single award, I guess some folks like that. But to me, after they get done with aircraft, I'm like, God, I got to wait until the end or whatever. And so what we decided to do is the silver and bronze awards will be placed by the model towards the end of the show. And then we're just going to call out the gold winners, and then all the juniors. We'll call out all the juniors because that's special. And but then we'll just call out the golds, and then the specials, and then of course People's Choice of Best Up, to help cut down on that where you're just sitting around just waiting for a category to get done. And we've only got 9 categories, so it's basic, right? Mm-hmm. Juniors, aircraft, armor, ships, boats, that kind of it's broken down very very simply.
Well, I hope people are taking notes right now, because this is the way you run a show. I'm telling you what, I've been to your guys' site. I saw your rules and your judging. I'm stealing it, first of all.
Steal it, yeah.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah. It is lays out specifically what you need, and which is fantastic. It's a great living document, by the way. It can be added to. It can be
absolutely.
That's what we need. And the category list, great idea. The way you're doing your awards, another great idea, because you're doing the juniors, you're doing all the juniors, which needs to be done.
Absolutely.
You put the juniors out front. That's where they belong. That's our future. That's where we need them. And then you do the golds and the special awards, and that is. And you're not spending 3 hours. Bronze, silver, all that. Yeah. You don't need that. And that's, you guys are doing it right. I really want to have you guys back after the show and see, I want to see how this went. And I want to, like you said, needs to be a living document, and this could be passed around and showed to other people and other organizations and other shows. A lot of people don't put on shows, and I've been on shows, but had to put on shows before. It is a lot of work, and I'm sure you guys know. I mean, especially the president there. I mean, this has been his life for a couple of years, or all of your lives for a couple of years now. So
we've been a little busy.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking about that, from all 3 of you, what have you learned? What's your biggest thing you've learned from getting this show ready to go?
Patience.
And good
patience.
Good communication, like be transparent, keep in touch. I mean, we stay, that's where the social media we just have our text group, and we're always staying up to date and making sure if something comes up, we're talking, because we get it, right? This isn't our life. I think we all wish it was. I mean, I would love to not have my job that I have to go to every day. I'd rather do this every day. That'd be awesome. But having the really good comms, and I mean, we all get along really well. So it seems like everybody's super understanding. But I think being patient, being flexible, and taking responsibility for your areas. Like, when I got designated as the head judge and the awards guy, and all, I mean, I knew, I was like, okay, I started doing my homework and reaching out to people and putting all this stuff together for what I was responsible for, because I did not want to be the person that was having issues or causing problems or not living up to what I'm supposed to. So I don't know, maybe that's the military part of me, but I'm not a procrastinator. I wanted stuff done early. I started working on awards like a year ago. So yeah, it's been a lot of work, but I think it's been good. Just being transparent and keeping up with the guys.
Go ahead, Darren.
Go ahead, Darren.
I want to kind of go back to the gold, silver, bronze, and what it is we're doing. I think we'd be derelict if we didn't mention the PenCon folks, Dana and all them up in the central PA. Because they do gold, silver, bronze, and we have modeled this after that. And I know Tim has talked to Dana on several different occasions. They've helped out. Are we doing it differently? Probably a little bit. I think we all do it just a little bit differently, but that's the evolution of it, right? It's we'll take what they did, try and make it our own a little bit better in some ways. We're going to screw some things up in other ways, and maybe they'll take back what we did. And I think it's important, especially through a platform like this, to put that word out that we're doing it, that the documents are there, and the roadmap's pretty much laid out. But that all really started with Dana and company down there in central PA. So I just wanted to give my props to those guys.
Man, that's well said. Well said, Darren. Question: will you be providing feedback as part of the judging model, Scott?
There you go, Tim. This is Tim's great idea here.
This is Tim. Okay.
Well, I'm an idea guy sometimes. I'm not always successful, but one of the things that happened a few months ago was we were talking about, we debated sometimes very energetically, the value of feedback. How do you do it? What's the best way? Scott brought an idea that, hey, at JaxCon, they stuck stickies on the forms and wrote some feedback on there. And we said, well, gosh, do we have time for that? Is it something we can do? And then I, for whatever reason, I shot a note to Scott and I said, hey, here's the 6 basic, or what are the basic areas that if a modeler is not doing as well as they should, we should note. And unfortunately, I don't have one handy, but basically I went online, and sure enough, on Vistaprint, you can order custom Post-it notes, and we put the 6 on there, put a checkbox next to it, and just put judges' notes on top. And then guess what? We could also do International Orange. So I ordered them in International Orange, since it's all about test, right? And so that's what the sticky notes are. I think we've got 1,000 of them or something like that. So we should have plenty for each model that's entered, that we can slap one on there. And the idea is that only the folks that don't get some sort of award will actually get that feedback. So if somebody gets an award, then we're not gonna tell them, hey, you need to work on X. It's like, no, you got an award, you're good. But yeah, it was a collaboration. It was a long, I remember it being a number of months back and forth of how are we going to do this and what's the challenge. When Scott brought the idea of sticking a note on the sheet, it's like, okay, we just need to come up with a good note, a good way to do it, and do it simple. And the idea of just checking off a box, it's like, now it's up to you, modeler. Yep. You go figure out where the seam was that we saw. And if you really want to talk to a judge, the judges will be available.
That's great. I like that sticky idea with the checkbox, because that opens it up to making the modeler more a part of the interaction of looking for that problem and finding that problem. And by doing that, because we all miss stuff. I don't care who. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
We get so tied into that project and we miss stuff. And then it makes them, hey, I did miss this seam. Here's the seam. This is what I need to look for next time. By doing that, you're doing them a huge, huge favor. I really wish I lived closer because I would love to have been able to attend this show. This is going to be a great show, guys, and I really do appreciate you guys coming on here. And one more time, give us the Facebook page and the email address so people can get ready for the show and be able to attend.
Facebook. So I think there's a Facebook page titled PAXCon 2023. I will admit that it probably doesn't have a lot of information because I've only recently created it. I'm a weak Facebook user, and I take a lot of cues from Darren because he is a pro at it. I struggle with it, and Darren will tell you I'll call him up some nights and say, okay, how do I do this? Should it be a page or a group? And so so I'm working on that, and hopefully by the weekend, by the time this is published, PAXCon 2023 Facebook page will have some information on it, links to our webpage, which is SOMD-scale modelers. That's 1L with an S on the end, .club/PAXCon-2023. And actually, if you type in Southern Maryland PAXCon, and you'll end up getting a hit on our website.
Yeah.
We'll put the link in the show notes for the episode for the listeners as well.
Yep.
All right. Brilliant.
Okay. What do you think, guys? Anything else you want to talk about? Anything we haven't covered?
The only thing I like to say is come on out. I can't wait to see the modelers there. It's going to be fun, and I'm excited. Thank you guys for giving us this platform too. This has been a blast.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
We help each other out.
Yeah.
We mutually admire all of you guys.
I admire you too, Scott.
Yeah.
You guys are the best, man. You guys are so awesome.
I love how I feel so admired.
Well, it's you're Navy, you're an Air Force, Navy guys, like you guys take us stuff, being an Army guy, I don't really get around Navy guys so often. So that's kind of nice.
We're not all that bad,
No, you're not. Thanks, guys. I really do appreciate that. It sounds like a great show, and I can't wait.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Grant. Thank you, guys. We wish you all the best. It's going to be a huge success. I'm sure TJ is probably going to join you for that. We wish we were all a little closer, but maybe we can catch you next time. But I know it's going to be a huge success, and can't wait to have you back on, like Grant said, and see how it went. So anyway, great job, guys. Obviously, a lot of love and sweat and dedication and planning have gone into this. So from the posse, all the best. It's going to be great.
There's no probably about it. I will be there. And I will be judging. I will be breaking my long-standing freeloader tradition of going to eat lunch and drink beers during judging to actually judging.
Well,
we're going to do that Friday
TJ.
night after setup. So
yeah.
You guys should come. That's the thing. I mean, this venue is within just a few minutes of all of Whitey, Frill, Tim, Darren. I think Darren's the closest. He's probably 2-3 minutes.
Oh
no,
Whitey and Frill.
Yeah. Anyway, we're talking a couple of minutes.
How far from Chesapeake are you?
Chesapeake, Virginia, or Chesapeake, Maryland? Virginia, across you got to go up to the 301 bridge, go across the river.
Yeah, 4 hours
river.
maybe?
Yeah, 3.5 at the most.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's only we're about good traffic, an hour and 15 from DCA, from where Alexandria is in DC. We're probably about an hour and 15 from there. And so that's BWI. It's a little bit, maybe that's, again, good traffic, hour and a half, something like that to get down here. But it's simple to get here. It's just you get on 230, head to Waldorf, head on 235, and look for Hollywood Volunteer Fire Department on your right.
That's about as easy as it gets.
Yeah. It's a nice venue too. It's big. It's plenty big. We should have plenty of room, lots of parking, and it's good. But yeah, Friday. That's the awesome thing. We did just a little bit of a oh, by the way, I mean, this venue allows us to set up everything on Friday. So even though it's not a 2-day show, we can set everything up on Friday. So you come in Saturday, it's not this frickin', hair on fire trying to get everything set up. It's already set up. So I think we'd like to plan on having some kind of a get together, whether it's Friday night or Saturday night or whatever with people that come in, because there's just all of us are just a few miles away with our houses. So yeah, hopefully we can set something up.
All right, it's that time, everybody. If you would like to rep the posse, you can check out all of our awesome merch on our Triple P Spring page. You can find coffee mugs, t-shirts, jumpers, and yes, even our world-famous Triple P Lounge trousers. You can order all of your stylish Plastic Posse merch on the web at... I'm not going to read the whole web address. It's on our Facebook page. It's on our show notes, or you can go to www.loungetrousers.com.
Thanks for riding along with us for episode 77 of the Plastic Posse. Your support, along with our great sponsors and patrons, help bring the Triple P to you every 2 weeks. Got a gripe, maybe a suggestion? You can send us your feedback to plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com. And if you haven't joined the Plastic Posse group on Facebook, why not? See you all in 2 weeks, and yeehaw!
Nice. Doug's the master of the yeehaw.
Yes, yes.
If you would like to support the Triple P and become a Plastic Posse Outrider, it's super easy. Just go over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Plastic Posse Podcast and set up a recurring donation there. These contributions help offset the cost of bringing you the Triple P. There are 3 different tiers of support starting at just $1 a month, and there are some great benefits: early access to podcasts, premium access to the hosts, a chance to appear on a podcast, and exclusive Triple P content like JB's recent trip to Normandy with patron-only photos.
Let's recognize our amazing deputy marshals. These guys really step up and help the posse do what they do. They're people to ride the river with. Let's start with Rob V., Rick Cooper, Tin Gidcombe, Dan Newman, Robert Blocker, Tyler Moore, Derek Post, Craig Flynn, howdy mate, Brian Kreiner, Scale Model Craft, Ken Childress, Nick Butta, Drew Gardner, Scott Hall, Frank Perrone, the voice of Bob, Jeremy Diamond, Ryan Smith, Terry Wilkinson, Chris Lovewell, Andrew Callis, Ethan Eidenmill, Bruce the Model Noob, Steve Baker, Eric Deglish, I always get it wrong. I say it different every time I read it. Sorry, Eric. Joe Porche, Patrick Brown, Steve Schaefer, Jay Kidd, Brandon Gentry, Robert Klein, Mark Ewing, Ted Kawahara, Toadman, Model Doc, Doug Reed, Greg James, Les Squirkala, B Colt 1911, John Everett, Josh Buck, Black Rifle Model Works, Thomas Bannock, Mark Bradley, Zach Pease, Joel Munson, Eric Brubaker, Jeremy Moore, DB Scale Model Studio, Matt Johnson, Jeremy Elliott, Mike Talley, Previous Seat, Mediocre Middle-Aged Modeler, Dan Knopfel, and JC Osborne.
Let's also recognize our excellent posse foremen. These foremen are outriders who give the deputy marshals a hand. William, Rob, Tim, Jeff, Eddie, Ross, George, Gary, Warhoff Models, Drew, Ross, Eric, Len, Cliff, Eric, Mike, Papa Steve, Red Beach One Studios, MD Models, Hey Martin, JV, Damian, Kieran, Cody, Tim, Nukeman Mike, Greg, JAK, Ash, Irish Pat, Paul, What's the Deal with iBones Models, Mr. Grizz, Jackson, MAK Armor, Chris, Lee, and Jamie.
And of course, our Posse Outriders. We appreciate all of you, including our newest Outrider, Keith Witt. Thanks, Keith. Welcome to the Posse. Please consider posting a review of the Triple P on your podcast platform. Each 5-star review helps others modelers find the Plastic Posse.